Alright, man. So, Casey Cagle is a bad choice for governor of Georgia, and I'm going to give you 3 good reasons why. Real quick, we don't normally focus on local stuff. We're from here in Georgia, but usually we kind of stay more of a 30,000 foot level. There's this governor's race, this runoff coming up in the governor's race here in Georgia on July 24th, and it's kind of an important one, and I felt like I was going to break tradition a little bit to speak on this. If you're not from Georgia, you're not interested in Georgia politics, you know, feel free to tune this out. But if you have been paying attention, the governor's race in Georgia, the former governor Nathan Bad Deal, is term limited, and thank God he's out. And the race now is between the Lieutenant Governor Casey Cagle and the Secretary of State Brian Kemp. Now let me preface all this by saying a lot of you guys, not me necessarily, but a lot of people in our vein don't think voting works. They think voting's stupid and there's no reason to do it, and that always frustrates me a little bit. And if you're one of those guys, and several of you are, and some of you who are close to us are, you know, I always have to remind you, you know, Trump won. Voting worked, okay? You know, Neil Gorsuch, Brett Kavanaugh, I list on and on and on and on and on we could go. Voting works. Even that, on the Democratic side up in New York, that crazy socialist chick just beat whatever his name was, the number 4 guy on the Democrat side in the House. Voting does work, and the more of us that vote, the harder it makes for them to. I'm doing my my Pastor Fox ripoff again. I just watched his meet and greet video, and he was drinking his cup and said people are more comfortable when they're drinking with a drink in their hand, which I don't know if he meant it the way I took it, but anyway, I agree, Pastor Fox. It is much more comfortable to have a drink in your hand. Anyway, I'm sorry. Where was I? I don't remember. Suffice it to say, the more of us to vote, the harder it makes for them to steal elections, like they like to steal elections. There's a Democratic senator in Alabama right now because a lot of people didn't think it was important for them to vote. Voting matters. All right, so here we go. Why is Casey Cagle no good? Number one issue, this taped conversation he had with Clay Tippin. If you haven't paid attention to this, Clay Tippin was running for governor. He didn't make it to the primary. Cagle wanted his endorsement. So Tippin went to talk to him about the endorsement and recorded their conversation secretly and released it. You know, Clay Tippin's not running for governor now. He's not the issue. We can argue about the ethics of what Tippin did later if you like. I don't have a problem with it personally. In this recording, Cagle said they were talking about a education bill that Cagle had opposed for years and personally blocked for years, and then suddenly passed all at once in order to get campaign contributions. And in this tape recording, he said, it's shit politics. Those are his words. It's shit politics. It's bad policy. He only did it, and these are his exact words, I'm not paraphrasing. He did it for campaign contributions. The Walton Foundation was going to put $3 million in the campaign, and he wanted to block them from giving it to one of his opponents. Those are his exact words. Look, I'm not saying this is like unusual, weird corruption, but if you're so stupid to get recorded doing it, we have to oppose that corruption just by itself. You know, if that gets in public knowledge and the voters say, we don't care, we think it's good for jobs, that emboldens every crazed, lousy, no good, corrupt, stupid politician to just keep doing what they've always been doing. Right there, I don't care if he was a great guy, I don't care if everything else was great about him. When he made those statements and those statements became public, he officially became disqualified for public office. The fact that he did not bow out of the race by himself right then shows that he has zero shame and absolutely no upbringing or shame. He has zero shame. He should have, at that point, you know, remembered some really bad health issues that he needed to go have taken care of. Checked himself into the Betty Ford clinic. It would have been more honorable to pretend like he had a drug addiction than to let people think that it's no big deal that he's that corrupt or he's that changeable. The second issue is this bill. He's against school choice. And he said it in this, we got some kids, we're going to have to hurry this up, the kids are struggling. But in this taped conversation, he talks about how school choice is bad for public schools. Let me tell you something, Lieutenant Governor Cagle. Public schools are bad, period. Anything that's against public schools is good. Let me back up. Public education has been infiltrated and taken over, and it is an extreme left-wing tool to destroy people, period. Not just America, all people, everywhere. Public education is a great evil. There's a reason why the communists and the socialists and the Nazis all love public education, because they want to control the next generation in their minds. Public education is an evil. Anything that weakens public education, let me say this, monopolized education is an evil. Let me say that, monopolized education is an evil. That's the way to say that. Maybe not necessarily. Public education should be an option, a choice. It should not be a monopoly, a state-run monopoly. I'm going to take some heat for that. So number two, it's just bad politics. You know, he doesn't support conservative values. He supports state monopolies on education. That's socialism. State monopolies on things are socialism. Again, Lieutenant Governor Cagle, state monopolies are socialism. Okay, they're bad. The third reason is I've actually met this guy in the past, years ago. He wouldn't know me. It was campaign events. I shook his hand. I heard him speak. The man's an ass. He's not even an intelligent ass on top of that. I have a personal distaste for the man. He rubs me the wrong way. He rubbed me the wrong way in person when I met him. And like I said, it wasn't like, you know, I was in the halls of power rubbing shoulders with the elite. I was at campaign events in a distant past, a very distant past. I was mildly involved on the outside of Republican volunteer type stuff. And I met Cagle, and the man's an unmitigated ass. I don't know what else to say about it. So I'm asking you on July 24th, I believe that's Tuesday. It's always Tuesday. July 24th on Tuesday. Even if you don't plan to vote, please go vote. If you're just a Cagle person, fine, whatever. But I would ask you to consider voting against Casey Cagle. I don't know much about Kemp. Kemp may be an ass, unmitigated ass too. We're not, you know, none of these guys are perfect. But certainly he hasn't been caught in such an egregious moral failing as saying, oh yeah, I sell my politics for campaign contributions. I mean, he said it. He straight out said it. And that has to be opposed. Casey Cagle cannot be allowed to become the governor. The last governor's done a lot of damage to the conservative agenda in the state, and Casey Cagle would be more of the same. He obviously would sell out our values for his campaign contributions. So please vote against him July 24th. And that means voting against Casey Cagle means voting for Brian Kemp. And like I said, Kemp might not be any better, but at least he hasn't publicly disgraced himself and publicly emboldened, you know, everything that and supported everything that we feel is destroying the country. Thank you, men. We appreciate you.